This video covers Chapter 1, Fun and Games. So for each of these puzzles and stories that we come across, make an earnest attempt to solve each puzzle. Be creative. Don't give up. If you get stuck, try looking at the story a different way. Walk away, come back. If you become frustrated, stop working, move on, come back later, and then share these stories with the people around you. And most importantly, try to have some fun with this math. The best way to use these videos is to watch with your notebook and take notes while I'm teaching. Pause the video often, get the notes down, and every time I attempt a problem, ask a question, or give you a problem to try, pause the video and attempt the problem on your own. And make sure you rewatch and rewind as often as necessary. So where the senses fail us, reason must step in. So looking at section 1.1, we're going to highlight 4 stories from your textbook. Making mistakes is a sign of creativity and strength. It is not a sign of weakness. We learn from the mistakes that we make. So the first story is That's a Meanie Genie. I'm going to ask you to pause here and read the story on your own. I will read it aloud here. On an archaeological dig, Allie discovered an ancient oil lamp. Just for laughs, she rubbed the lamp. She quickly stopped laughing when a huge puff of magenta smoke spouted from the lamp, and an ornery genie named Murray appeared. Murray looked at the stunned Allie, exclaimed, "Well, what are you staring at? Okay, you found me. You get your 3 wishes. So what will they be?" Allie, although in shock, realized she had an incredible opportunity. Thinking quickly, she said, "I'd like to find the Ramanujan, the jewel that was first discovered by Hardy the High Lama." "You got it," replied Murray, and instantly 9 identical-looking stones appeared. Allie looked at the stones and was unable to differentiate any one from the others. Finally, she said to Murray, "So where's the Ramanujan?" Murray explained, "It is embedded in one of these stones. You said you wished to find it, so now you get to find it. Oh, by the way, you may take only one of the stones with you, so choose wisely." "But they look identical to me. How will I know which one has the Ramanujan in it?" Allie questioned. "Well, 8 of the stones weigh the same, but the stone containing the jewel weighs slightly more than the others," Murray responded with a devilish grin. Allie, becoming annoyed, whispered under her breath, "Gee, I wish I had a balance." Suddenly, a balance appeared. That was wish 2. "Hey, that's not fair. You want to talk fair? You think it's fair to be locked in a lamp?" Murray exclaimed. Realizing he had gone a bit overboard, he proclaimed, "Hey, I want to help you out, so let me give you a tip. That balance scale may be used only once." "What? Only once?" "I wish I had another balance scale." Zap, another scale appeared. "Okay, kiddo, that was wish 3. Now regretting not having asked for $1 million or something more standard. Well, at least this new scale works correctly, right?" "Sure, just like the other one. You may use it only once." Why? Because it's a wished balance scale. So the rule is 1 scale, 1 balancing. It's just like the rule against using 1 wish for 100 more wishes. So Allie may use each of the 2 balance scales exactly once. Is it possible for Allie to select the slightly heavier stone containing the Ramanujan from among the 9 identical stones? Explain why or why not. So I'm going to ask you to stop here and go back through and make an earnest attempt to solve this puzzle. Get creative, draw some pictures, don't give up. If you get stuck, look at the story in a different way. If you become frustrated, stop working, move on, and come back later. And most importantly, have fun and see if you can share the story with those around you. After you've tried, shared with others, taken a break, come back and drawn a picture, check out section 1.2 for nudges and hints. And when you're all done with that, I will come back and explain it shortly. But while you're working on it, I'm going to introduce all 4 stories and then we'll go through the solution so that you can't be tempted to look ahead. So for story 3, it's the Fountain of Knowledge. You can read this in your textbook or you can read it along here. During an incredibly elaborate hazing stunt during Pledge Week, Trey suddenly found himself alone in the Sahara Desert. His desire to become a fraternity brother was now overshadowed by his desire to find something to drink. As he wandered aimlessly through the desert, he began to regret his involvement in the whole fraud scene. Both hours and miles had passed, and he was near dehydration. Suddenly, he came upon an oasis. There, sitting in a shaded kiosk beside a small pool of mango nectar, was an old man named Al Dante. Big Al not only ran the mango bar, but was also a travel agent and could book him a flight camel back to Michigan. At the moment, however, Trey desired nothing but a large drink of that beautifully translucent and refreshing mango aid. Al informed Trey that he sold the juice only in 8-ounce servings and the cost for one serving was $3.50. Trey frantically searched his pockets and discovered he had just that. His jubilation at the thought was quickly shattered when Al casually announced he did not have any 8-ounce glasses. All he had was 6-ounce and 10-ounce, neither of which had any markings on it. Al, being a man of his word, would not hear of selling any more or less than 8 ounces. Trey, in desperation, wondered whether it was possible to use only the unmarked 6 and 10-ounce glasses to produce exactly 8 ounces in the 10-ounce glass. Do you think it's possible? If so, explain how, and if not, explain why. So again, I'm going to encourage you to stop here, and then I'll move forward. Remember that you can find any hints and nudges in your textbook, but make sure you try it first. Our next story is a game called Dodgeball, and these are the game boards you'll need to play, and you will need to find another person to play with you, or you can try and play against yourself. You can read this in your textbook or follow along here. Dodgeball is a game for 2 players, player 1 and player 2. Each player has a special game board as shown and is given 6 turns. Player 1 begins by filling in the first horizontal row, so the first horizontal row, with X's and O's. Then player 2 places either an X or an O in the first box of the board. And you just continue doing that. The game continues with player 1 writing down either an X and O in each of the boxes in the second horizontal row and 1 letter in the second box of player 2's board. And you just continue until all the rows are marked. Player 1 wins if any of their rows exactly match player 2 rows. So player 1 matches player 2. And player 2 wins if any of their rows do not match any of player 1's rows. So play this game a couple times and then say, would you rather be player 1 or player 2? Who has the advantage? And can you devise a strategy for either side that will always result in victory? So as before, stop here, give it a shout, give it a try. If you've tried it and you're still stumped, go to the section. And then for our last game, we'll be talking about Let's Make a Deal. You can follow along in your textbook or with me. Let's make a deal, Monty Hall enthuses to the gentleman dressed as a giant singing raisin. The gleeful raisin, whose name is War and Peace, is ready to wheel and deal as Monty Hall explains the game. Behind one of the 3 doors is the Cadillac of your dreams. It is as long as a train and comes complete with a jacuzzi, of course. If you spend too much time in the jacuzzi, your skin will wrinkle, but you're a raisin. Behind the other doors, however, are 2 other modes of transportation, 2 old pack mules. They don't come with jacuzzis. Monty sums it up. So there are 3 closed doors. Behind one is a luxurious car, and behind the other 2 are mules. Now comes the moment of truth. What door do you pick? The audience erupts. Door number 1, door number 2. Poor War and Peace looks around the crowd confused and nervous. He considers door 1, 2, 3, and then shouts, okay, I'll take door number 3. As Monty Hall quiets the overly excited audience, he tells Warren, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what's behind one of the doors you did not pick. Let's take a look at what's behind door number 2. With that, Monty Hall turns to the Vanna White of the 1960s and says, please show us what is behind door number 2. The door dramatically swings open, the audience erupts, and Warren breathes once more. Behind door number 2 is a mule. But Monty knows where the mules are, so he always opens one of the mule door first. Monty continues, you now see that the Cadillac is not behind door number 2. You guessed door number 3. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If you want, I'll let you change your mind and choose door number 1 instead. It's up to you. Do you want to stick to your original choice or do you want to switch? So now you get to decide, what should War and Peace do? Should he switch choices, stick to his original choice, or does it not matter? So here, try it out, think about it, draw a picture, get creative, play some games, share it with other people, and if you're stuck, go to your hints and nudges, and then come back to the next video to see the solutions.